this episode of Playlog, we're talking about this week's Indie World Direct and reviewing Kentucky Route Zero in 2024. Hey guys, CGDannyB back again with another episode of Playlog, the podcast where we talk all things indie gaming. But of course, can't talk indie games alone because, well, it's not always boring. It's kind of fun. We do like the reviews like on YouTube and stuff. But on a podcast setting, never fun to do alone. So I've got my partner in crime, the Play Nice Kid themselves, Tofr. What's poppin', homie?
I'm so excited about this episode, especially since I found out that you aren't.
It's interesting, right? I could say I'm excited to talk about it, but the idea of ever, we'll wait till we get to the game. We'll talk about the game. It's the point where you come home late, like your curfew was 2 hours ago, and you're like, oh man, I didn't tell mom I was going to be late, and you know what's waiting behind that door, but you're not quite ready to talk about it. And you're there, you're here. But anywho,
no, but listen, I have to ask you something.
Of course.
Am I wearing the best T-shirt to review this game?
Good question. Howdy. Okay, yeah. I unfortunately don't have any Western-esque T-shirt. Well, I mean, most of my Western, I was thinking cowboy Western, not Western. Anyway, mine's just another crab's treasure. I just got it from the Yeti. Look at that little krill, and then it's the fucking, I forget this guy's name, but he's that big bitch in the middle of the fucking ocean that's just like, I'm gonna get you with my knife and fork. I'm like, I hate you. Big fucking
by the way, I ordered the Playlog T-shirt like 2 weeks ago, and it's been stuck at customs for over a week.
God damn it! The
things we try. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on there.
All right,
I just want my damn shirt.
Customs, let's go. Come on, out the door. Let's go. You just drive over to pick it up. Just drive it over. Excuse me, customs. This is my order. Let me have it. And let me have it now.
I might have to.
Yeah, you might have to. Anywho, before we get started, quick reminder, did you know that I post my new indie game reviews over on youtube.com/CGDannyB? I sure do. And if you haven't seen yet, I posted my review of Crypt Custodian, an adorable isometric Metroidvania about a cat who's forced to clean up the afterlife for the rest of eternity. What do I think about the game? I guess you have to find out when you go check out my Crypt Custodian review over on youtube.com/CGDannyB, all for yourself. Spoiler alert, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Fun game, good times. Nice. And it releases today. For everyone's like, wait, a new game? It's out today? Danny talks about it? Well, now, like 2 days ago for y'all on YouTube if you're watching it. But over here at Twitch, where we're doing our book club live, you had to know right here. So that's pretty cool. Let me see. Also, Aaron, I see you in the chat. What's up, dog? Guys, I'm going to try and acknowledge you in your chat. I apologize if we're in the middle of discussion. I'll try and bounce around. I just want to make sure that you're seen. Okay? Love you.
Aww.
You guys say it.
It's on the forehead.
Yeah, somewhere. Forehead. At least when they're here. When we go to end, every time I end right before I say something mean, because they never hear that part, behind the scenes talking shit, Anywho, before we get started with the main stuff of the show, we would love to do an icebreaker. Remember, you can write into the show using the link in the description on the YouTube video or Spotify podcast, and write in asking us your questions about gaming, content creation, and life. Officially, I'm adequate. Well, hello, thank you, subscriber who I can't see on the screen. So. Tavern, thank you so much. Appreciate you. That's another thing I do live.
CGDan love.
CGDan love indeed. Okay. Tavern, thank you so much. You look beautiful today. Mwah. Officially the last question I have on the doc. So if you want to go and ask a couple questions, how about your favorite indie game, et cetera, go do that. Cause I'm gonna run out of content. And I'll tell you this, once I run out of content for viewer questions, we end the podcast forever.
Yeah.
Is that the truth? Better not find out. Write some questions.
Would you lie to chat? Of
course not. Never. I've never once lied to the plebeians that give me money for entertainment. I've never, ever done that. But you can write in just like Cartoon Burb did when Burb writes in and asks, if you could bring any indie item into your personal life, what would it be and why? I told you I put this in there, and I still have not locked in what item I would pick. So I need you to go first.
Okay. I came up with something, and it's probably a bit silly, but I would go for the deck of cards from Balatro.
Okay, hold on. I need you to piece together what this looks like in your real life. I need to know what this is. Or like, are you just having a basic card that just look like Balatro, or you're like, oh, these cards are doing things for me in real life? What's this image?
They're doing things for me in real life. Absolutely.
Okay.
I want the real life experience that Balatro can provide. Only Balatro can provide.
Yeah, now I'm trying to picture if you're like, I'm just at home, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, full size, playing Balatro to myself, like, haha, let's play. Or you're like, oh, I keep them in my wallet. So when I go to like Walmart and I got my special coupon, and I'm like, oh, but I also have the Balatro card that doubles the multiplier. So this is actually not a 20% off, but 100% off coupon. Or like, you know, wherever you can drop those in for like, oh, I go to the bank and it turns out anytime I spend money, I get $2 for every face card in my hand, and I'm like, man, Tofr thinking big.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I need to take that deck of cards everywhere, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be Gambit. I'm gonna make a name for myself.
Oh, I'm about to make a name for myself. Now imagine you wasting the Balatro deck, just chucking them at people, and they don't explode. You're just like, oh no, I'm out of cards. I should have stacked up. And then you go to like the self-checkout where they have the little display of trading cards. You're just constantly ripping them open to add new cards. You're just like, these Pokemon cards don't fit. Doing some random shit, multiplying planets. Listen, this is existential. I like this.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
I thought like we're going to talk about an existential game. Why not give an existential answer for the writing?
Exactly. There you go. Real quick, Tavern, thank you again so much for the sub. I appreciate you. Death Potato, I see. Guess what? It's probably going to be the game because I think that's your MO. But hello, how are you doing today? Did y'all see that there's a Hello Kitty X Yu-Gi-Oh toys at McDonald's? I did not. Is Hello Kitty like Yugi like fair? That's kind of cool. I would love to see that. Finally got a job. Nice, Potato. Hell yeah. I'd love to hear what it is.
Nice. Congrats.
That's so exciting. Congrats. I'm sitting here still staring at, and like, I don't think I want to reduce them to an item, but because the game is staring at me, I think they make a nice companion in life. I'm looking at Dodgeball Academia, and when I see that, immediately I'm like, I should get a dodgeball, but I don't want a dodgeball. I want Bloony. I want the sidekick who's just a balloon head and a healer, just in my life. I don't know where I'm going with them. I don't know where they're staying. We don't have a spare bedroom for them. But if I just have my buddy Balloony walking around being all cool and chill, throwing dodgeballs at the people I don't like, sure. Why not?
That's a good quality.
Right? Yeah. Otherwise, I'm looking at Tunic and I'm like, I don't really want the Fox Sword. And then Hollow Knight, I don't want anything from that. Yeah. I'm sure there's a better answer out there, but I'm going with Bloony. Bloony, you are not an item, but I still love you.
I know what you want from Hollow. I know what you want from Hollow Knight.
The hot bug gives maps.
No, you want a sequel.
Did we see that today? We'll find out when we get to the quick indie news. Spoiler alert. Nope. Let me see. Local Tim Hortons. That's awesome. Yo, congrats. Listen, you're right. Money is money. Get that cash. Get that cash. However, forgive me. And also, chat. I will see you. I do see you. I always make sure it is also a podcast. I don't want to interrupt too often and you do like the small talk and stuff, but I see you. If you have anything to say about the content, I got you, okay? Just so you don't think I'm ignoring you. I still love you guys. But yeah, let us know, chat. If you're here now, let us know what indie game item you would love to have in real life. And then, of course, you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments. Or Spotify. You have comments now. Let us know what indie game item you want in your life. I didn't do timestamps. Fuck me sideways. Got to do that later. Anyway, it's fine. Anyway, on to the quick indie news. We just have the one headline for today. I'm sure there's more news out there, but it's a special day, and we had a Nintendo Indie World Direct plus partner showcase. Now, we're not talking about the partner showcase. No one gives a damn about that part.
Cares?
That's exactly. That's not for us. No one cared about that part. However, I'm pulling up the Indie World stuff, and I have to make sure it is just the Indie World stuff. Yeah, okay, well, Nintendo does not have the proper listing, so I'm going to need my handy-dandy booklet here.
Nice.
Yes. So, in case you missed it, this morning we did our reaction of the Indie World Direct as well as the partner showcase. That is one long video over on youtube.com/CGDannyB. So if you want to check it out, see all the announcements and my reaction to them, you certainly may. However, over here, I'm going to pull up the listing of everything that was announced. Well, most of it. Everything else is in the booklet because I'm thinking big. We thinking big. Did you watch any of it or see any of the announcements throughout? I know you weren't around when it was on, but...
I was at work, but I managed to sneak a glance at Twitter every once in a while. So I did notice some really exciting news.
Some crazy exciting news, dude. Some good stuff. The show started off with Balatro, which at first I'm like, oh my god, Balatro coming to Switch. And I'm like, no, it's already on Switch. I don't know what this is. But then they announced the Friends of Jimbo bundle, which is essentially a free update. It dropped today, and it adds 4 customizable card suits to your deck. It's in the settings. I've played one run with it. I got pretty far. Didn't win though. But they made the Spades, Witcher the Wild Hunt. They made the Diamonds, Dave the Diver. They made Hearts, Among Us, and they made Clubs, Vampire Survivors. So all the face cards changed to like characters from those individual games. It's pretty freaking cool. I did get a press email from Woot, the PR manager for Balatro. When I got it, I responded to him. I said, damn it, Woot. I had so much to get done, and now you're going to make me play Balatro again. And he responds, got him. And that is the professionalism that we had.
Nice.
But yeah, I was really excited. Fun to play a little more Balatro here. Nothing too much as far as game changing stuff. Just some chill stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, like I didn't really need another reason to go back to Balatro.
But they made one. And
they made one. The cards look so cool.
They're nice. They're pretty cool, dude. The Witcher one honestly caught me as a surprise when I saw like the first thing they show was Witcher. I'm like, oh. And that's the weird thing where like I'll argue back and forth whether Cyberpunk's indie or not with CD Projekt Red being independent, but they're like big indie type deal. You know, it's another Dave the Diver argument all over again. But when I saw Witcher, I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And then they're like, by the way, then we have Dave and Among Us and Vampire Survivors. Like, okay. We're definitely skewing more indie, so we'll take it.
Yeah.
Let me see. After that one, next up, we got to hear about Neva from the guys who made Gris, however you pronounce it, whichever one you choose. It officially got a release date coming out October 15th, which I'm very excited about. This game looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm trying to scroll through as we discuss it, but we saw this one at, I believe it was the Game Awards. So it's cool to finally see that one get a date. Then we got Moth Cubit, which at first we all thought was like a Binding of Isaac game just based on the sprite work. But you're playing as like a moth in stocks working RPG world. I don't know exactly what to put this as, but it looks cool. It looks cute. I'm sure there's a better description on Steam, but shortly after that, we got the Toge team to show up and they told us, hey, we've been working on Coffee Talk 1 and 2. We said, how about we do another game that fans of the series will like? And then they announced Coffee Talk Tokyo. So same game you love, making coffee and everything, just in Tokyo. New characters, I'm assuming new recipes. Looks really fun. I saw Rennick in chat being like, my favorite announcement was Coffee Talk. I'm really excited for this one. It looks cool. I need to go back and finish 2. But by the time this one comes out, I'm hoping to have that done and then see what else there is to offer in Coffee Talk Tokyo.
Nice.
Feel free to stop me if any of these you're like, oh, I gotta fucking talk some shit about these games. But
no, I still need to play Coffee Talk too. So
yeah,
I'm a little behind.
Maybe 3 book clubs from now we'll talk about it. But then they came in fucking swinging, Tofr. They showed the new trailer for Sea of Stars Throes of the Watchmaker, which is the first free DLC content coming sometime in spring of next year. You get to play as Zale and Valir again in this very like circus environment. Zale is a juggler and Valir is an acrobat, and then we added Artie, the artificer, from the game as a playable character. I am so fucking excited for this, dog.
Well, I noticed something on Twitter that piqued my interest was watching you react to this.
I forget. We were looking at the Coffee Talk thing, and I think I made some comment about it and this, that, and the other. And then it just showed up. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. But yeah, that looks great. Try to go along with the direct as well. Next up, Power Wash Simulator showed up. What were they having? Shrek Swamp. So, you like Shrek? The meme's not dead. I remember in high school with the Shrek is love, Shrek is life stuff. And I would never have expected over 10 years later, this bit was still going. But Shrek is still here doing the Shrek thing.
You could say that this is an all-star move by the
Oh
devs.
my god, you fucking go. Here it is. Here
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Here it fucking
yeah.
is. I forget who in chat was just like, I need the soundtrack to just be Smash Mouth the entire time. I'm like, okay, yeah. whatever you gotta do. Next up, they announced Morsels. This is a action roguelike, and I believe it also had deck builder mechanics into it. Very much looks like Atomicrops from the art style.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it's the same team, but very, very similar, and like the style of it. I think it looks cute and looks fun. I say cute, but it's also just like really grungy and gross. So as cute as grungy and gross can get. But this one looks really fun. Next up, we got a trailer for Date Everything, showing off some more of the extra characters like the lamp, the vacuum. I think it showed some of the doors. They showed like your existential dread, which is just like a ripped white silhouette. They show Shelly. Here we go. Doug is our ship. But hold on. You're about to see it, Tofr. Yeah. We found my crush. Where's she at? Come on, Doug. You're great and all. Just keep going. Sorry, idle listeners. Okay, there's Lamp. I made the joke about Lamp, and then Lux is like, "Hey, here we are." But you're not the one. Come on. Here, hold on. Here we go. Oh my God, Textbox John. Chow's pretty down bad for her, and I get it. So I think that's my target. I'm gonna get for Textbox, but I never thought I'd fall in love with a Textbox, but today's the day. Next up, the Peglin team showed up, and they're like, "Hey, here's what happened during COVID. We worked on the game, we updated it, we fixed it, and now we're bringing it to Switch." So Peglin drops on Nintendo Switch later today. So by the time you guys are seeing this, you should already have access to it. Or if you're watching on YouTube, it came out a couple days ago. Play Peglin. If you like Peggle as a roguelike, yeah, Peglin. Fun time. Let me see. Next up, we had Wobbly Life, which is this open world sandbox, goofy physics simulator type deal. You're buying houses, you're driving cars, you're getting a job, doing missions and whatnot. It looks fun. It reminded me of like something delivery service. I forget what game that was a few years back, but it looks like a goofy ass time. And this one's scheduled to come out December of this year. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we had Pico Park, which is the up to 8-player co-op adventure where you're typically like tied together by string and you're trying to jump and platform without everybody falling down a giant hole or whatever, getting stuck in traps. Rennick offered to guide me through this one. I guess she's been playing it. I'm like, you know what? Listen, if we get keys, I'm down. And speaking of if we got keys, I got the email almost instantly. So no key received, but I got the request form. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
Pico freaking Park. And then next up, they cut this up into bits. We got the sizzle reel of upcoming indie games coming to Nintendo Switch. Shovel Knight threw me off, but it is the Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope DX edition, basically big deluxe edition with all the extra characters you can play as, extra modes, accessibility options, etc. Followed up by that, we had Europa, Studio Ghibli inspired open world, looks absolutely beautiful. This got delayed out of April, I think, earlier this year.
Something like that.
Yeah, and now this is finally coming out here at the end of October, I think it was, or September. Cuisinier coming to Nintendo Switch. Very Moonlighter coded, just cooking instead of weapons and stuff. But we had an episode a while back where Kanai talked about that one. Really enjoyed it. On Your Tail, detective mystery game. I played this one during Next Fest. Loved it. Had a blast. I know we talked about it on our Next Fest episode with the setting up the board and solving the mysteries like with cards and stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Metal Slug Tactics on there as well, coming out soon. And then we rounded out the highlights with the Plucky Squire coming out September 17th, less than a month. Can't freaking wait. I know that's launching day and date on PlayStation Plus. And then, as they typically do, they said, hey, that's everything. Wait a second. We have one more thing. And they said something about pizza. I was like, where'd you get the pizza? I got it at that tower over there. And everyone's like, Danny, I don't know what game this could be. And I said, chat, you're ridiculous. How could you not know? It's Pizza Tower. So Pizza Tower coming to Nintendo Switch. I didn't write it down. I think this was a later today thing. Yeah, later today. So that is also now out on the Nintendo Switch. You can pick it up, play for yourself. 5 floors, all the fun goodness of the insanity of Wario Worlds and pizza. So good times. But I kind of routed and rambled through those, but are there any you're just like, dude, awesome that it's finally coming to Switch? I know you're more on the PC spaces, but
yeah, I since I have my Steam Deck, the Switch doesn't get all that much playtime anymore, but there's plenty of excellent titles coming out. I'm looking forward to Europa, to Neva, to On Your Tail.
Yeah, no,
It's gonna be good times.
Yeah, all of those. It's so weird, right? Because for the longest time, I would look at like Xbox showcases before they were talking more exclusives, and I'm like, this is awesome. I get to see all the cool games I'm gonna buy on my PlayStation. And now that it's very much these indie world direction, I'm like, I can't wait to buy all these games on my Steam Deck. And like, I did the Arco review a couple weeks ago, and I felt bad because everyone loved that game, and I did love the game, but I played on Switch, and performance was not it. The performance was really bad for a lot of cases. I had somebody comment just like, "Oh, well, it's the Switch, so you got to give it slack." I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I understand it. The Switch, old hardware, that's what's going to happen. But if I sit and tell you the game is great and then everyone buys it, but Danny, you didn't say any of this stuff. The internet told me I had to give it slack. I had to give it slack because it's on the Switch, so I don't have to mention these things. No, that's not how this works. The game performed poorly on the Switch. That's all it is. Now, I wish I got a Steam code, so all I could have done was talk about the positives. But sometimes, games you gotta talk negative. Like, we'll find out in a couple minutes here. I gotta tell you, we're gonna speak negatively on some of these things, but...
What are you talking about, negatives in the game that we're gonna talk about?
I can tell you about some fucking negatives, Tofr. Let me fucking tell you about fucking negatives. No, I actually just got my key for Meek and the Witch's Bounty for Switch. We're streaming that on Saturday, so I'm hoping, praying that runs well enough.
It does.
Okay. Cool.
I Switch code from the Kickstarter, and
okay.
I think I noticed one bug where people were glitching out, but that was like the only thing I noticed.
Baller. Gives me a little more confidence. I'm excited because we mentioned the last episode, but I was just like, yeah, where's my key? Like, you got a PlayStation 1. I'm like, I did? Oh, okay. And then I just went to Lurk and I'm like, hey, can I get a key for Mika? Like, here you go. So I'm like, bet. Then we talked about it in the podcast and I submitted that as coverage, but I guess I submitted that I was going to cover it on Twitch. I'm like, damn it. Now I got to stream it just I got to cover my bases because I got the key. I got to, follow up and do what they asked of me. So, but yeah, I have Mika sitting on the Switch. Otherwise, my Steam Deck's just backloaded with like 17 other games. The whiteboard's staring at me. But also, I don't think I have any like dead set embargoes now. I just have to play catch up. I know Ete is on the schedule for this weekend. I want to finally hop into that one. My fucking E.T.,
E.T.
E.T.
No, but listen, you're gonna have a really good time with Mika this weekend.
I'm looking forward to it. That, and then I still have her sitting in the box. I mean, I've opened the box a little bit, but like she's in here. I'm gonna take a nice Instagram picture of that for Saturday, so we'll do that.
Nice.
But there was that. Chat and commenters, I would love to know what your guys' favorite reveals were from the Indie World Direct. And then, of course, we had the partner showcase. If you like fighting games and JRPGs, they have you set. I'll tell you that. I won't even spoil the final announcement, but I'm like, oh, that's exciting. That's pretty cool. The partner showcase, less for me. I think as I watched, I was just like, it's cool stuff coming. Like I said, I got like 10 different JRPGs where I was like, I don't know which one this is. This could be Xenoblade. Oh, it can't be. It's a partner showcase, so it couldn't be Xenoblade. Then they show, I'm like, oh, is this this franchise or this franchise? No, because there was one that was like Trials of Ice something. I'm like, but is this Trials of Cold Steel? Because it's not the same name, but it says Trials. Is it the same franchise? And like nobody knew. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. I got nothing. But yeah, good stuff though. Yeah. You give me that Switch since you're not using it. I need Joy-Cons. My God, just buy new Joy-Con. I mean, I won't force you to buy a new Joy-Con. Tell you what, Rennick. Nintendo, if you're watching, if you send me some new Joy-Cons, I'll send them to Rennick so she can play her Switch.
Nice.
Deal? Nintendo's not sending any Joy-Cons.
Come on, Nintendo. Just admit that you watch our podcast.
Yeah. Honestly, Reggie, I know you ain't working anymore, but I know Reggie's sitting there on his couch like, oh, Playlog podcast. Let's go. Oh, boy. But that was the quick indie news. We were talking a little bit before the show about how to maybe kind of like reducing it, bring it down to a little bit less. Still same discussion, but like shortening the episodes. Love to hear you guys' feedback on that, whether you're here now or watching after the fact. But just kind of pacing yourself. I want to make sure the episodes are so great and like digestible enough, And then you just got to do 5 episodes a week. Can't do that, but... however, this brings us to the topic of the show, Tofr. It is the last week of August, which means it's time for our monthly book club. And last month, after we did Night in the Woods, which you can watch over on youtube.com/CGDannyB, I chose to do Kentucky Route Zero. I spun it on my Wheel of Shame. Before we get into discussing the actual game, I was like, you had mentioned probably not a good stream one. I don't think people like it. I'm like, I think I agree. I don't think people like watching this, so I played it on my own time. To talk a little bit about the game's existence before our thoughts. It was developed and published by Cardboard Computer. Originally, it was set to a Kickstarter goal of $6,500, and they raised, according to the article, 2,000 more. So I assume 8,500. Wish there was a little more detail in there, but that's what I put in the thing. As the game was releasing, in an effort to keep the well-being of the team in check, the game's episodic releases timeline was stretched over the course of 7 years. So the first act was released in February of 2013. Act 2 was May 2013. Act 3 was May 2014. Act 4 was July 2016. And then finally, Act 5 was January 2020. So over 7 years, there was like almost 4 years in between the last 2 chapters, which I have thoughts on and wait for later. But the game currently sits at a very positive review over on Steam with about, I think it was like 2,000-ish for the PC version of the game. While on Metacritic, it is sitting at an 86 for the critic reviews and a 6.9 for user reviews.
Nice.
Yeah, nice indeed, right? I was going to be like, let me forget. I wanted to figure out, right? Because it is like, it looks like it's like a 100-point scale with 6.9, 7, 7.1, whatever. I was like, guys, put it's like a 69% because that'd be funnier. But I almost want you to start, but do you want me to start? How do you want to do this? Talk about Kentucky Route Zero.
I kind of want you to start just because I'm looking forward to your thoughts.
For sure.
So, like I noticed your Instagram story. You were pretty bored.
I was pretty bored. Tofr, so I picked this game last month. I picked Kentucky Route Zero, both for roulette, but for our podcast. And in less than a chapter, I don't think I was ever as regretful about anything in my life than picking Kentucky Route Zero for this book club. I cannot think of a solid more than 5 minutes where I enjoyed my time in this game.
Oh, God.
It is unapologetically slow. It is walls of texts. The controls are not great.
No.
I found myself frustrated and just I was on a 7+ hour road trip this weekend going to and from New Jersey. Partway I drew, but for the sake of it, I'm going to say 7 hours. And I tried to play this game the whole way through to get it done, and I could not find the motivation to do it. Mm-hmm. I did not like this game at all. I was just disappointed at the fact that I didn't like it. But I was also disappointed in the fact that this game has so much praise. And I can see where the praise comes from. I'm not saying Kentucky Route Zero is bad. But I am saying...
You just did.
I am saying... I like to argue when someone says this game is bad. I'm like, no, it's not bad. I think it's not for you, etc., etc. I am well aware that this game is not for me. I can't fight the 86 that it has on Metacritic. People out there enjoy this game. Mm-hmm. But if someone came to me and said, Danny, Kentucky Route Zero is bad, I don't think I would have the motivation to argue with them. I would have no reason to be like, you know what? I need you to double check yourself on that. I'd be like, honestly, yeah, you got a point, dog. I got nothing for you.
Now, listen, there's one thing that I feel we should mention.
Mm-hmm.
We both waited way too long to get started to with it. Yeah. And I noticed, like, with my latest playthrough, I got, like, annoyed because I couldn't take my time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we both left it so late, we had to hurry through it, and this is a game that demands that you take your time with it.
Yeah. I think I'd put that down somewhere about, like, I was wondering if I had played this on launch schedule, right? Where I played chapter 1, the couple months later played act 2, and then years later played them. If I would have been more high on it, because I could have taken my time per chapter. I'm very self-aware with how rushed we both were as a procrastination. We're busy, okay? Adulthood. But yeah, that's definitely something that sat and thought in my head, right? Where I was like, is it because I had to rush through it so fast? Where I was looking at paragraphs and novels and just all this stuff about this game where I'm like, oh, I want to pick it up a little bit more. But even if I think about the content I was paying attention to and how much I was not invested in it, as I got to chapter 4, I was so much like, I want to get this done. It was very much like I would read what I could between smashing the next button. Like I am laying on the couch. Literally me for like 4 hours last night was this. And I'm just scanning the text like, okay, car, Ezra did something, Junebug, okay. Yeah. And I just woofed it.
The thing is, if you had read everything, it would make just as much sense.
And again, honestly, cool. I didn't miss anything. Oh, man. That is a no. Well, then here's disappointed, Danny.
Clearly.
Yeah, I think as I started chapter 1, right, I was very intrigued because I'm like, this plays very different from what I think I'm used to in like very narrative games. Actually, before I even get to that, I was double checking, right? As I got through chapter 3, I was like, what is the world's thought on this game? Because I know people speak so highly on it, and they're like, you got to play Kentucky Route Zero. So I'm like, I must be missing something, right? And that's when I went to Metacritic and I saw like the reviewer scores were high, but then the user ones weren't. And I think a lot of people shared the same sentiment as me, where it's the same sentiment as me, where it was too much text, too slow, not interested in the story, choices don't matter, et cetera, et cetera. So as I kept going, I wanted to make those like feel like they were wrong. I wanted to find the reason to care about what was being said or the characters were on the screen. And then won't get into spoilers yet, but in chapter 4, the one character no longer here, and I'm like, huh. I think that was my one string that I was like, can't wait to see how this ends.
Oh, no.
And now I'm just like, fuck. Now I really don't care. And then the final chapter did no services for itself. So I was.
Can you imagine having waited 4 years for that?
Dog? No. My sympathies to the players. Fuck.
Listen, I love this game.
And I'm glad you do.
Honestly love this game.
Yeah.
But I really get that, like, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Now I have to admit something before we get going into the story and stuff.
Yeah.
I fucked up.
No, okay.
Yeah. So you have to select your chapters in like this wheel.
Yep.
Where it says chapter 1 and then it says the title of something and then chapter 2 and a title again. And I thought those titles were the titles of the chapters.
So did I.
Yeah, and they're not. So I completely missed chapter 2.
No shit.
And I did not have the time to go back to it.
That's
so
really
when
funny.
we get to chapter 2, you're gonna have to carry the conversation.
Oh God,
I have no idea what happened.
Oh good. I'll try to remember even what happened. I have like very basic whatever, but we'll go through. I did watch like a 30-minute like here's the narrative and what kind of happened to kind of piece together. I'm like, okay, so that was what happened, but I didn't have this piece of information, so it kind of brought it all together. So I think Matt Horton, I believe, is the YouTube. It's like a 27,000 views on like it's like the tragedy of Pacific Coast.
Oh, I watched that one too.
Yeah, it's a good video. Very good video. I definitely like, man, I almost wish I just watched this and didn't play the game.
Sorry.
No, listen, I'm being a little brutal on the game. I'm happy about it. I really have a giggly, goofy smile the entire time. But I'm gonna tell you, I did not like this game at all. Very, very minimal things. I'll be like, oh, this is pretty cool. But we'll get to those uno momento. But essentially, the way the game starts out, you are this old man, Conway. You're in a car. You pull up to this gas station, and I guess what's happening is you work for like a delivery company. Lysette. Okay. She is closing down her delivery service, and this is like your last delivery. This is your last day making your delivery. You pull up to this gas station with an old man, and you're like, hey, can I get some directions? He's like, yeah, sure. By the way, can you go in my basement and turn on my power? You go down there, there's some dudes chilling. They're like, I can't find my D20. I assume they're playing D&D, but I guess they're playing a board game. I don't know what they're doing down there. They're playing something. You wander off, you find their D20, and they're gone. And you go back up like, hey, where'd those guys go? Like, what guys? There's no guys in my basement. I don't know what you're talking about. The entire time, it's just like the top middle of your screen is just like dialogue, right? You're going back and forth. You're discussing with the guy. Sometimes you have multiple like options. I want to pick be nice, be mean, or like they give you the sentence you're going to say. Very Telltale-esque in that way. We're talking about like what is coming out of your mouth and like what you're saying to these people, how you're treating them. eventually that just gets like very monotonous with how much text is there. And when I say walls of text, like there are times where you're looking at paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. I am not someone who enjoys reading as it is. I don't mind it in games because they're typically like, here's a sentence at a time. But sometimes a character pops in to give me like their memoirs or like their college thesis statement when I like stub my toe under like on a log, and they're just like, oh man, let me tell you about the and it just goes and goes. I'm like, fuck, it's not much. But yeah, after you get directions from the old man, you wander off and you start exploring this map, and you're finding destinations that'll pop up on the map. You're given instructions. I would love to hear your thoughts on the map, because this is what threw me at first. But the way it works is you have like a journal that's like, hey, you're trying to get to Henderson's farm or whatever the place was called. I can't think of the names. But it's like, what you're going to do is you're going to go up Route 65. You're going to turn left. Once you meet this giant obstacle, you're going to turn right and just keep going straight until you find the thing you're looking for. Like very much like you pulled over, asked for directions, and you have like the turn by turn. When the map opens, you're like a wheel, which is represents your car. And then you roll forward, you roll back where you need to go, turn where you need to, get your destination, hit X, and then dialogue continues. For the first like 2 or 3 cycles of this, I thought this was really cool. I really dug the locomotion of this, being like, oh, cool. I'm not actually driving a car. I'm more like moving a piece on a game board in like to simplify it a bit. I'm like, this is cool. I enjoy the way this kind of plays. Eventually I got very sick of backtracking and like missing roads and everything. And then chapter 2 is the one that pissed me off the most, because you leave the car and do something else, but we're on chapter 1. But I don't know, how did you like moving in the car or on the wheel or whatever?
I remember the first time that I played this, I got lost just constantly. Yeah. I like this time I took screenshots just to remember the directions. Yeah. Which helped. I still struggled to find my goals and my destinations at times, but it's fine. It's not wonderful. It's just fine. It does what it needs to do.
Except during chapter 2.
I wouldn't know.
Don't worry, I'll remind you in a minute. Before we get too far from the gas station, when you get out of the car, you have this old little dog, just skin and bones, poor little guy, and they let you pick the name. You could either name it, I forget the first. I picked Blue because that seemed like the right answer.
Apparently, most people do.
That's what I said when I watched that video, and like everyone picks Blue. I'm like, oh, good, because then in my head, that's the right answer. No other answer is correct.
The right answer.
Because I forget, there's Blue, and then there's like this dog doesn't have a name or something like that. Like you don't give the dog a name.
I think the male name is like Harold or something.
Yeah, I want to say start with an H. I keep going to say Horton again, but I'm like, nah, it's something else. That's the YouTube guy. But yeah, I wouldn't say the dog plays like a significant role. You kind of have these moments of like, hey boy, what's going on? I'm tired of exploring. My ankle's hurt. I don't know. I mean, like you just kind of talk at the dog sometimes, but they're cute. Animal companions are fun. For like the mascot or the cover art character of the dog, I was like, I thought you'd maybe do a little more, but here we are. It's fine.
It's just feeling blue.
That's feeling blue. Yeah. Love it. God, I'm trying to even think how like the episode ends. Like, I guess you explore some, and then you try to get to Route 0 to get to your destination. You're trying to find 5 Dogwood Drive, I think is the location you need. And all on the way, people are like, I never heard of that. Like, oh, I remember that, but like that was an old town, and actually I'm pretty sure that old town renamed all of their roads, and now they're all just Dogwood something. So like you never know which Dogwood you're looking for, so you gotta like there's all these different excuses why you can't find the thing you're looking for. But eventually you end up at this like, go ahead. The
chapter ends with you finding like this mine, this old mine.
Okay, perfect.
That's no longer in use.
Yep.
And there you meet Shannon. And Shannon is like the niece of this girl Weaver that you meet previously. But if you listen closely to her, it seems like she thinks that Weaver is dead.
Yeah. That's one
even
of the
though
things
you
I was
just saw
expecting to
her.
reveal.
Yeah.
It was, but yeah, like this entire time, I was waiting for this reveal of like Conway's crazy. He's seeing ghosts. He's seeing dead people, and that might just be everybody. I think I'm not entirely sure. I think
it's magical realism, Danny.
Listen, I won't sit here and say I totally, when I watch this video and they explain magical realism, I can't say I fully understand what that exactly means. But I watched another video that was like 10 minutes and they're just like, this game and the people who talk about this game are pretentious. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh
No, I
wow,
get
you're
it.
calling me pretentious.
I'm calling you pretentious. You are.
Good to know. Good to know.
Did I have to Google to be 100% there? I've used pretentious so many times and never really knew the definition. I thought it was just like, you trying to sound like you're a smarty pants, but you're not. And I don't know. I don't know if this is an insult, but I know people definitely use it as one. I think as I got to like I finished chapter 1 and I'm like, I think this is it, but maybe it's just slow, right? Maybe I'm not quite into the shit. Once I'm into the shit, I'll be there for it. I'll be more excited. Cool. All right, 1 second. I'm glad it's not showing up on screen. We're just going to get rid of that.
Okay.
Very cool person. Very not cool person. Anyway, but yeah, as they're exploring this mine, you find out like it flooded like years ago, and the way the whole thing worked is like employees had tokens to like drain water or run the fan and everything. And as this place was flooding, they couldn't clear out the water fast enough, and they didn't have enough tokens for it. So like everybody drowns in this mine. So as you're exploring it, Conway gets hurt, breaks his leg, ankle, like whatever. It's crushed under a fucking log. It's not doing too hot. So you're seeking out like a doctor this entire chapter. Like, where do you need to go? How do we find where we're going? And
I just interrupt you.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I noticed people mentioning this a lot. The pace of the game is already really slow. Like, you walk around very slowly, and then you break your leg, which means you walk around even slower.
It's so bad. It is rough. And I think I would double back away from the story. There's so many moments where the slow gameplay is coupled with, at least in the moment that I'm finding things, absolutely nothing. Like, there's a point where I'm in the car and I find like an obstacle and it's just like, oh, this happened. So I pull up and this person, there's like a wreck in the road. It looks like somebody's run off the road. There's like deer and stuff hanging around. We're like, uh-oh, I got to find what's going on. And I'm walking around this thing trying to find anything I can interact with, and nothing. And that was probably like a 5-minute endeavor that felt like 15-minute endeavor. Then I'm like, is there a purpose here? Is there anything to do? I'm like, guess not. So I hobble back to the car. This is before breaking my leg. Hobble back to the car. I'm like, this is so fucking annoying. I hate this. Yeah, it was just absolute bullshit how slow this game is. I wish when I played as Ezra, I'm like, oh god, I can move a little bit faster, thank you. But those are so near and far between. But yeah, as you're looking for this doctor, I guess he's like, oh, he's out in the woods, we got to find him. So I don't really know how we find him, but you find a kid named Ezra who has a brother who's a bird, and nobody really questions that. We're just like, yeah, that checks out. Yeah. So the bird's like, I got you guys. So he flies into the forest, takes you to the doctor. Now, this is one of the things where I'm like, some of these set pieces are really cool. I think there's some dope things that they do that are just entirely masked by the quality of the game. But like this bird flies you out into the forest. It's this huge set piece of like just a giant eagle you're hanging out with. As you're exploring this forest, there's some of these like psychological, like, I'm hearing all the voices around. Is that Conway? No, Conway's over there. Like, it's really cool. I think it did a really cool, like, thriller analyzing type deal there. I thought that was fun. That being said, to get to the fucking forest, you have to fly the bird. I want to say Lewis, and that's not the name of the bird, if anyone remembers. Julian, there we go. Thank you. But you have to fly on this bird, and it's not, I don't know. This game was made for PC. I understand that. Yeah. I had so many issues with controller where I'm like, fuck, this just doesn't feel good. Flying around the map, which you're typically driving on, you have to fly like southeast or something to find the destination you're going for. But the way it works is your character flies forward and you can't turn the map. So you kind of have to like maneuver it. And if I can't see in front of me, because like I'm going southeast, but southeast is like down for me, I have to fly the opposite direction and then turn when I hit the edge of the wall so the entire world could rotate with me and then I can see what's in front of me. And I was like, this sucks. This is horrendous. And I'm wondering if I sat and played it with mouse and keyboard, if it would have felt better. Playing on controller, disgusting. Hated it.
Yeah, but that's true.
You end up finding the doctor. He gives you some experimental drug, and then you like doze off into like nothingness as he's just like, by the way, let's talk about billing. Like, we got to figure out how you're paying for this. When Conway's like, I'm retiring. This is my last job. Like, you're kind of set with this, but like, how's he going to pay for this? Like, he doesn't have like insurance, I guess, anymore with this. Like, I don't know what's happening with Conway. Again, not really something we cover much, but we worry about little old man. I think, is that part, I don't think that's part of chapter 2 or if that was already the end of chapter 1.
That's all chapter 2.
Okay. Cool. Then I think somewhere in chapter 2, there's like an office with an elevator and you have to go up and down like 17 times. Whatever. It was there.
The Bureau of Misplaced Objects, I think it's called.
Something like that. And they're just like, if you want the place, you have to go here and get this documentation. You get the documentation, you bring it back. They're like, cool, here's the info you need. Like, this is very much the part of the game where I was checking out. Where I'm like, I'm reading the dialogue. Every time I would end a dialogue, I was afraid because I wasn't paying attention, you can't necessarily always go back and talk to the person again. So I was like, I didn't pay attention to what you said. So if we roll in and I have no idea where to go, I have to jump to a walkthrough. I have to find somebody's guide. And that's exactly what happened. I pulled up one of the guides to be like, cool, where do I go next? Like, make sure you go to this floor and grab this. I'm like, got it. And I was doing it step by step, not spoilering. But yeah. This is where I'm getting to the end. I'm using this walkthrough from here to the end. I have it bookmarked. I can remove the bookmark now, but I had that shit bookmarked the entire time. Tofr! Why'd I pick this game?
Yeah, you picked it.
I picked
That's
it.
the funny part.
I have so many regrets.
But look, how do you expect them to make bureaucracy interesting?
I don't know. Make it fantasy, make it fun, make it walk at a normal human pace. I don't know what you want. Give me something. Less dialogue. This is why, like, I'm very
less dialogue.
Less dialogue, Tofr. Much less dialogue, Tofr. I'm very much proponent of explain it to me like I'm 5. Politics don't make sense to me. Like, for the longest time, anyone using, we're getting way off base here, but anyone using the terms liberal, conservative, whatever, like those words didn't have meaning for me. I just knew they were describing political parties, but I never knew which one, like, depending on your political facing, which one's the good one and which one's the bad one and which one, like, who do we like, who's the elephant, who's the donkey, like none of that shit made sense to me. So anytime I was going to come in conversation, like if they weren't using official names of like, here's the presidential candidate, I had no clue. I had no idea. Even to this point, like I have a better understanding, but politics is so above my head. So I'm always just like, hey, I don't know what we're talking about. I need you to explain it like I'm 5. Like, you're a kid. Yeah. Like, hey, this guy's the nice guy. He's trying to get world healthcare, blah, 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 blah. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Now I understand. This was very much the entire time where I was like, I need the kid version of this. I need whatever accessibility option that makes this like a 5-year-old's playing so I can understand what's happening. But we don't have that. Have that.
No, but that's the whole thing about this game. You're not supposed to know what's going on. You're not supposed to know if this makes sense, what's real and what isn't real. It's all about vagueness.
Doesn't mean I have to like it. I don't like
have you ever listened to Welcome to Night Vale, the fictional podcast?
No, I have not. I don't think I've heard of that.
It's a magical realist podcast in this town called Night Vale, and things are just weird.
Yeah,
and it almost never makes any sense, but it's really good. It's like it draws you in somehow, and I feel like this game does that as well if you're invested in it. And like that's not, I don't mean like you played the game wrong. No, it's just like the game will interest you or it won't. It's a very Marmite game. You're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it.
Yeah, and I think there's a part of me that knows that. I see that. I wouldn't see this game. This wouldn't be a game people are like, you got to play Kentucky Route Zero. I wouldn't see the Metacritic score that it has for like critic reviews if it didn't sit like that with many people. I just always like to think that I'm on the side of the many people. I'm like, I enjoy the game because everyone enjoyed the game. If I dislike a game, many other people dislike the game. This is one of those, I say rare, it happens all the time, but like one of the more recent cases of like, man, I really don't like this game. And I am definitely in the minority from, I guess, people in my space, I suppose. Like,
I don't think so.
No?
I really don't think so. I noticed something when I was playing it, and I got my achievements for finishing the chapters. And like from chapter 3 onwards, less than 10% of people who bought the game actually finished the chapter.
Damn.
That's only halfway through. Already more than 90% of people gave up. So I really don't think you're in the minority here.
Shit. All right, you know what? I'm right. This game fucking sucks, baby. I'm sorry. No. I am very much like, I hate discussing a game negatively. Like if I think about games like Dead by Daylight and Siege. I know those games aren't necessarily like bad, like those aren't 1 out of 10s, but I hate them. I do not have fun with those games. I find them frustrating. But I think it's okay to bitch and moan about AAA games sometimes because they deserve it. Fucking write something good for once, damn it. But there are so few indie games where I'm like, I want to rip this thing to shreds because I just did not have a good time. Y2K, postmodern RPG, that's one of them. We're never doing a book club for that. If you pick it, the show ends. Know that. But like that is like probably the first game I did like a negative review and it performed really well. People thrive on negativity. So if I sit here and like I just put like the thumbnails just like this game fucking sucks, probably get 1 million views. I don't know.
Listen, you getting angry with games would be entertaining as hell.
Listen, I made this joke the other night. We were playing Wukong. I have to clip it out, but I was getting really pissed because I faced 2 bosses. I could not beat either of them. I wasted 3 hours of stream doing no progress. But I was like, would you guys watch content of me raging at at cozy games? And I made the joke about like playing Unpacking. I'm like, I can't find anywhere to put my underwear. I'm just screaming at this game. I'm like, that might be fun. Just raging at cozy games.
There's not even any dialogue, damn it.
I don't know what's happening. This guy didn't leave space for my GameCube. But no, I thought it was like, that'd be funny. I think it'd be fun. Also, Rennick said, hydrate or your knees are mine. I can't redeem it, so this is how you have to do it. It's okay. I appreciate you, Rennick. I have not drinking water today. Thank you.
You should be doing that.
It's been a Gatorade kind of morning, you know what I mean?
Nah.
I know. Drinking water. I drink the fucking water. I drink the water. Cool. The account that followed is like already been immediately banned on Twitch, like as a whole, so that's good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just a racist title. Like as their username, which we love it. We love it.
Yay.
But you can't get me down. I'm already pissed, racist guy. It's fine. WQ a little bit for going through the chapters. Chapter 3 is another one. Honestly, I can't remember like the major points. I remember this is where we meet Junebug and Johnny, yeah. And this one had my highlight. And I think I remember it because you posted on your story on Instagram. But there is you go to a bar, and there is a musical performance, and you pick the lyrics as they're singing. Easy, my highlight. That was awesome.
That's the best part of the game.
Yep. That was the hope that I had when my heart lifted. I'm like, bro, I think this game gets good. And it didn't. But that was it. That was awesome. I loved that so much. Yeah. If I could go back and just play that, I would.
It's a fantastic moment, and like to just show people how the magical realism works here. And there's in between chapters you have like these smaller gameplay experiences, and right before chapter 3, you play there's this set in a bar, the bar where the musical performance happens.
Yeah.
And you watch these conversations between the people in the bar, but then it turns out it's a play. Yeah. But then you go to chapter 3, and you meet the actual musician that was supposed to go to that bar in the play, and you go to the bar and it's an actual bar, and that's magical realism.
I need the red yarn. I need the red yarn. I was like, because I'm sitting there thinking about, because there's like interlude chapters, right? In between each, I guess they were releasing in real time in between chapters.
For free, by the way.
For free, which I thought was cool. That being said, I don't think I liked any of these either.
Really?
I did not enjoy these. I think once I got another perspective on the diner one, I was like, okay, I think this was fine. I believe that's the one post chapter 2 into 3, where they're in like a diner and they're talking about like, oh, performance will show up, which is Junebug, who doesn't show up. And I guess
the entertainment. They keep talking about the entertainment.
Yeah. I did not read Waiting for Godot in high school. I know a lot of people in my class did. I was an Animal Farm and A Separate Peace kid. That's what my teacher made us read. I enjoyed those. Napoleon, you're crazy. Rest in peace, Boxer. But I had that ever so understanding, like Godot doesn't show up, right? Like that's the thing. So like I've been seeing the comparison of like Junebug is the Godot. I don't know exactly that means. I just know like Junebug equals Godot. I'm like, okay, cool. Bet. But the last one really pissed me off. But again, we'll get there. But we'll double key a little bit more.
Okay.
Got through chapter 3. And then chapter 4, I think, is where it really gets like the most drawn out there for me. Yeah. Where there's so much what's happening, what's going on. I had the walkthrough pulled up and they're like, here's going to happen. Your boat's going to stop. Like you're on a boat, you're exploring the ocean. Another set piece. There's like the musky mammoth is the name of the ship. There's this dope ass like mammoth animatronic. I'm a sucker for elephants and the like. I thought that alone as like as an item, as a model was really cool. But I'm at the point where I want to get through this game. So the way it functions, the boat sails around. Hey, we're stopping here. We're going to get off and try and do a thing, or we can hang out on the boat. And every single time, like, I'm going to hang out on the boat. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I get off this boat, I'm going to be here longer. So I'm staying on the boat. I stay on the boat every single time. Is it? I didn't trust it. I was like, I'm staying on the boat. I'm not getting off this boat because I guarantee I'm going to have to be Conway. And I'm like, oh, hold on here. Give me a second. And then just walk away for 40 minutes before I get back on the boat and then do it 7 more times. I'm like, no. Can't do it.
But you missed so much of the world.
Sorry. I didn't care about this world anymore. I didn't care about this world since chapter 2. And like, but I feel where you're at, right? Where like I miss so much of the world, but it's the thing of like, I didn't want to be there anymore. I think if at this point in the game I was encouraged to like be excited about the things that was happening, excited about these characters, or worried about these characters more, I think I would have been more like motivated to do these extra stops and see what we're stopping to pick up and find. But I wasn't. And it just felt like the best way to see that, like the end screen, was to not move and stay on the boat. And I'd be there so much faster.
I get it. Like when I was playing it last night and I got to chapter 4, I started wondering if you would actually finish it. Because like you were having so much trouble with it, like sticking with it, and I felt for you.
Yeah,
I really felt for you.
I powered through. I was gonna get it done. I was motivated to get it done. Yeah. But like, if I just rolled over and fell asleep, I'd be like, shucks. Oh well. Like, but you know, I had the monster. We stayed up. We were good. But yeah, I think another one of the cool like moments that I think I was so lost on for a minute and I didn't quite understand until we walked away. Is you're delivering this last package, or I don't know, is it the same last package or somebody else's package you're delivering? I don't know exactly what transpired there with Shannon and Conway. But you hop into a little boat and you're going through this like alcove and you're seeing like boats of skeletons and stuff and the bats. To finally you park your boat. I don't fucking know what you do to a boat. Shannon gets out. She's like, Conway, you stay here. You're already broken, and your arms also like. A cool visual thing is like as like Conway's kind of breaking and getting old and brittle, like the limbs are turning into this like golden skeleton. So like his leg like shows through the pants and it's like bone. It's all gold. His arm's doing the same thing. So he's like, you wait here, or Shannon tells you to wait here. I'm gonna go deliver it. You have this conversation. While you're waiting, this boat of like 2 skeletons is kind of like sailing around you. And then in the conversation, the boat sails past you and it's got 3 skeletons. And you're like, oh, where'd that one come from? Or it's a separate boat. And then you go back to your boat is empty. So Conway has like died or moved on. I skipped this in
No.
chapter 3, but there's like
That's not what happened.
but like that's my first instinct, right? Because he went from old man in the boat who's like not doing too hot to a skeleton in the boat, and like that was my first reaction. Where I'm like, oh shit, what happened to Conway? And
But
like
the thing is that the turning into skeletons has nothing to do with being old or dying. It's about depth.
I don't know. I know.
Like for example, the first thing that turns into a skeleton is his leg.
Right.
And that's because he has this payment plan because of the experimental drug that he was given for his broken leg. So he has to. It's like his leg isn't his own anymore because he now owes people for his leg. Then in chapter 3, I think they visit the whiskey distillery.
Yeah.
And there he drinks. He drinks from the whiskey, and they're like expecting him to start working for them, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not here for a job."
Right.
And they're like, "But we just gave you like really expensive whiskey,
So now you are, yeah.
so now you have to work for us to like pay off your debt." So he has to promise that in the morning he'll be back to start his first shift at the whiskey distillery.
Okay.
And the people at the whiskey distillery are all these skeletons because they all have debt to pay to the distillery. And that's what happens when you go to the bat sanctuary. Like none of this makes sense if you haven't played the game. Yeah. And when you go to the bat sanctuary and you see the boat with the two skeletons, that's two guys from the distillery.
Right.
And when you get in, when Conway gets into the boat with them, he's given up.
Yeah.
He's given up to debt. Like all that he is now is the debt that he has to pay off.
Okay. I guess I now that you mentioned it, right, I remember because we skipped that in chapter 3 and I forgot all about the like interview part. We're like, hey, we just had a guy who like quit or died or however they fucking shit, right? Like now we need like the replacement, and you involuntarily like interview for this position. And yeah, you're right, like the way it ends. Now, I heard it plays much better on mouse and keyboard for this part. But like towards the end of that chapter, when you take that drink, they like offer it to you, and all you can do is click that button. And if you don't click it, it like fades away, and then Conway will take the shot anyway. Like you have no choice in that, which I thought was like kind of cool with like a narrative beat. But I guess on PC, like if you're not like you don't press it, the cursor will itself just automatically move towards the button, like kind of forcing you to feel like you need to click it. I didn't get that on Steam Deck. That didn't come across. But neither here nor there. Yeah, I guess there's the thing of like what is it? How do we interpret this? I could see it as like the slaving away your life. I think about like I always think about this man. His name's Skeeter. I used to work with him at a plastic factory where I was an animation intern. This man was like 78 years old, and he just retired before my internship ended. And when I sit and think about this man was so old before he finally said, I'm done. I'm done. And I was thinking of it as like working these people to death, right? So I was seeing the image of like that's you're now in debt, you're stuck here, capitalism, etc. But it being skeletons being like the universal symbol for dead, right? Like I always saw that as like either if you're not dead, you're here till you're dead. So I think my impulse is when I saw that boat of Conway being gone and now he's in the boat, along with the combination of, I think as it's sailing away, it's like a skeleton and an arrow, which I think doubled down on it, which depending which of these you pick decides where the dog goes. I think if you take the arrow, blue goes with Shannon. If you hit the skull, blue goes away with Conway, which I'm like, old dog dead again? I don't like, it seemed like death seemed to be like, maybe not the final answer, but definitely like, once you're past this, don't expect nothing much besides death in the future. Like that just seemed like the energy of it. But I still see the capitalism work till you're fucking dead. Thanks.
You know what I love right now is you went off on this tangent about this coworker. That's 90% of gameplay in Kentucky Route Zero. They go off on tangents of things that happened or people that they've known. Yeah. And like so much of this game happens outside of the game. Like there's this whole world and all this storytelling, and all of it is about the past and things that have happened before the start of the game. And that's one of the things I really love about this game is how much lore there is to it. And does it all make sense? Far from it. But there's so much of it, and it feels like a lived-in world to me, at least.
I prefer One Piece's world. That feels way more lived in. And they're funny pirates with fruit. Give me One Piece instead. If this was Kentucky Route One Piece, I probably would have loved it a lot more, Tofr. I'll tell you that.
Nice.
I just like One Piece's world building,
So,
but yeah.
Yeah, like chapter 4 ends right after Conway leaves.
Yeah.
And you arrive at the stop where you get your truck back, but then you have to like there's no way to go because there's just a stairway.
Yep.
And you have to get all of the furniture from your truck up that stairway because up that stairway is supposed to be Dogwood Drive.
Right.
And then we go into the fourth interlude, and I'm just really curious to find out what pissed you off so much about it.
I think this started as a control thing. Another one where I feel like this was meant to play with a mouse because looking just never, I could never pick the thing that I wanted. I'm playing as some news production lady behind the camera. There's this Oprah Winfrey style like interview thing going on the screen. Oprah's a stretch, but maybe she's a black woman. I was connecting together, but she looked like Oprah. But you're looking around this room and you're like, here's the board of the information. Here's like the recorded steps. Here's people working on the set and everything. And every time I try to select the thing that I wanted, it like it wouldn't pick, right? Like the cursor would hit and it kind of like bounce away. And I'm like, I couldn't tell if this was like a gameplay choice to be like decisions are Jesus Christ. No. Decisions are difficult, but also like, what do? We can never pick the one thing we need to do. I'm like, if that's the case, I don't like it. But then I couldn't tell. I'm like, is it a gyroscope thing? Is my fucking Steam Deck like I sat it down. I'm like, nope, it's still doing it. I don't know if that was just a weird bug. I don't know if it was another storytelling element. Controlling wise, just felt frustrating. And then you're constantly stepping in like a circle to look for the new thing. And sometimes the camera would kind of stop on me. So I'd have to look back right and then keep going left before I could look past what I needed to. I think that thing took me like 20, 30 minutes to complete with how many times it was like rotating. Yeah. So I was like, if this is a pacing thing for the game, it is not doing itself any favors.
It has to be a bug. I played it with mouse and keyboard. Well, I played it with mouse because you don't need your keyboard. Yeah. And I didn't encounter that problem at all.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a Steam Deck thing, if that was just a weird loading thing that happened on mine, but that was brutal. And that
I did notice
double queue for everything.
I had one bug as well where no dialogue showed up for a while.
Lucky.
Until like wow. I had to quit out of the game and load it back up and then to fix the bug, which is weird for a game that's been out for this long.
Yeah, that does sound weird. That was that in like the Act 4?
It was earlier in the game.
Okay.
It was earlier in the game.
Ugh. Damn, that's crazy.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
But yeah, after that, like I think another thing that I think I could have really enjoyed that part because it stepped away from the characters that I should know but still know so little about. But all these new characters, they had a chance to be introduced, or like at least the one character with who's surrounding her, and then those mechanics just took all the air out of the sail for that. So I was like, W key through this, get it done. You basically had to interview like 3 or 4 times. So then your monitor's being taken over by another studio or something. You're like, what's going on here? Weaver, yeah. And there's a crow. The crow was cool.
Yeah.
And then, your thing gets shut down, your studio's flooding. I'm like, there's cool set pieces here. There's a point where all the lights go off, and I couldn't tell if that was a graphical bug or not, where I'm like, I can't see anything. I don't know what's happening. But again, I'm still at the spot where, again, I'm laying on my bed, just like trying to get through, because I'm so like uninterested at this point.
Damn.
Yeah, but that leads into chapter 5, which is a major departure from the rest of us. Conway's not here, so you don't really have a main character now. It's maybe Shannon, kinda, but like, you're officially a cat who's following a firefly, or just a light that's your cursor. I don't know. Yeah. And it's like 3 parts of this act are just you running around town listening to people talk, which I guess is not necessarily different from the rest of it, the game, but I felt so detached. Like, I think probably more than anything, where I was like, I'm not a part of anything. The decisions I'm making aren't me. And I'm just not invested in what is happening in this town now. And then it ends with them like, let's have a funeral for the cows. And they sing a song, a very pretty song. I love the music in this game.
The horses, the neighbors.
Sorry, the horses. You're right. Not cows. Horses. I just remember finding them dead in the ground. I'm like, what's happening here? Who killed the animals?
The flood did.
Yeah, well, yeah. Then
Danny, have you been paying any attention?
No, Tofr. I said I was spamming the skip button. I didn't want to pay attention. I wanted to play Black Myth Wukong. I was not paying attention anymore. Yeah, then it ends with the song, This Is the End. There was a final interlude chapter that loaded up, and I said, no, I hit the end. I'm done. So I closed the game. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if anything fun was going to happen, but I wasn't sticking around to find out. I was pretty broken by this game. And like, it's, I always say this, right? And I always want to put a giant asterisk over my head every time I speak poorly on a game, because I always want to reflect like, this was my experience. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be yours. If someone sat here and listened to me bitch for the current hour and 15 minutes about Kentucky Route Zero, and they're like, this game still looks sick, please go play it. I'm always a proponent of like, somebody's words, like those are important. Like I want to get that opinion of what you think about it. But at the end of the day, if it still looks cool to me, I still want you to experience something. And if you don't like it, then I was right. And you're like, damn, at least I tried. And if you love it, cool. Our opinions aren't the same. And that's great. That means we like different things. And I love that for you. Unless it's Dead by Daylight. Yes. Unless it's Dead by Daylight, don't touch that trash. That's terrible. But yeah, I just, man, as I wrapped it up, I'm like, fuck, I wish I picked something else. I wish I picked another game. I gotta do a lot more research next time I pick a game for the book club.
Yeah, it's interesting that you had this experience and that it's so vastly different from what I experienced.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely adore this game. It tells such a deep story about the rampant destruction that capitalism causes. Like with the story of the miners and the story of the distillery.
Yeah.
Even the town in chapter 5 is like most of the people there are gone because of the what capitalism did there.
Yeah.
It used to be a mining town, but like the moment that people stopped being useful, the company didn't care anymore.
Right.
And the people were left to fend for themselves, and that did not turn out well. And that's like one of the the final song of the game, where you see all of these shades of people who have died join in with the song.
Yeah.
I thought that was really moving, but I guess if you had your experience, you were just like, oh, get this song over with.
Yeah, but even like the song, like I enjoyed that moment, right? I think it was the.
Okay.
It's almost like watching the Marvel movie for the first time out of theaters. You know, like you've seen it in theaters, you waited through the credits, you're like, awesome, I'm here, and I can see the post-credit scene, now I can end the movie, right? Yeah. Getting through chapters 3 through 5 was me fast-forwarding through the credits. Like, I've seen these, I've appreciated, thank you for working, and then getting to that final song of, like, the funeral for the horses, like, that was the, all right, let it play, because now I have the post-credit scene that's setting me up for the next thing, right? Like, or the end of it, right? That was kind of where I was at with it. I felt, I don't have the dictionary cool words for like the I guess the emotional like completeness that I felt where I'm like, it's finally over, which sounds so negative, but it was also like, it's over. Like the game is done. So I get to see the end. But it was also the combination of like, it's finally over. I can go to bed. I can stop looking at this game. I say, look at it. The game is beautiful. I think there's some gorgeous things they do with the designs of it. Just like it's
art style is really cool.
So great. And I even looked, I'm like, do we know what they're making next or if they made anything else? They had one other thing on like the studio, like, and I didn't know what that was. But I was like, man, I'm eventually going to see one day where just like from the studio, that brought you Kentucky Route Zero. I'm like, let's wait. Let's see what we got here. I need to see that it goes much faster.
I get it. Like I was spending all of my last night playing this and trying to hurry through it to get it finished.
Yeah.
And even though I love this game, I was like, please go faster.
Yeah.
I need to get this game finished because I had a long day at work as well, and I was just so tired.
Yeah.
And then reading all of that text felt like a chore.
Yep.
But I still feel like if you enjoy, like, for example, if you enjoy poetry, you're gonna enjoy this game. Because this game feels like a poem that I don't really understand, but it hits me some way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think I can see it. Like when I hear people talk about why they like it and what they get out of it, I totally see it. I see it from the outside looking in of like, oh, I can see when you explain it what that feels like to you. I can find that feeling in other games that I've played, but I can't find it here. And as I saw other people reviews on Steam, people like, this isn't a game, it's a visual novel. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna attack visual novels. Visual novels are great. I love visual novels. Just this is one that didn't fit. This is one that didn't scratch any itch. It was like the bug in my ear. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm putting my earplugs in a second because I need less of this. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish this was a different experience, but I think I convinced myself, had I not spun this on the Wheel of Shame, had I not picked this for the book club, this easily would have been middle of chapter 2. I would have stopped. Yeah. I've been like, I think I'm good. I think I've seen what this game has to offer. And the fact that I set it up as something we'd be finishing and discussing, like, I think maybe less that I was like, I have to do it for the podcast, but it was more like, I committed to this, so I have to do it. And I think that's probably where I was with Kentucky Route Zero. I know in a personal place, I would have ended this a long time ago. I wouldn't have made it past that, like the even the bird scene, right? Like I would have been done long before that. But
on the other hand, if you had stopped at chapter 2, you wouldn't have seen the awesome song.
It's true. I wouldn't have.
Chapter 3.
I wouldn't have, and that would have been the lifelong thing. I'm like, I stopped too. Like, oh, you didn't make it to 3. You gotta play chapter 3. I'm like, all right, I'll look it up on YouTube, and then. But
no, but I get it. It's like when I talk to people about this game, I mention David Lynch a lot.
Okay.
Because his movies and series are all these kind of mind fucks as well, where you're like, what's going on exactly? I don't really know, but it's doing something to me. And this game really has that same effect.
Yeah.
And I adore that, but I get that a lot of people don't.
Yeah. To each their own. All I can say, I was right. This game's terrible. No. Love to hear. I know as far as my audience goes, I don't think anybody played Kentucky Route Zero, or at least no one wrote in to discuss it. So I think it's a very like you and I type deal. So nothing else to add on to that. However, I don't know if you had any other closing thoughts on Kentucky Route Zero before we announce the next game.
I think it's like play a chapter and see what it does to you. If you don't like chapter 1, you're not gonna love the rest either.
Yeah.
If chapter 1 hits with you, then give the rest of the game a shot, because you might feel things.
And we like feeling things. We like feeling things. Yeah. But with that has been Kentucky Route Zero. But Tofr, I need a palate cleanser. I need a change of pace. I need something that moves a little bit quicker than just a dot on the screen. So I need you to tell me what you picked for the next month's
well, from the developer of Kentucky Route Zero. No,
you're motherfucking not. On the show. We won't do anymore.
No, I'm going to choose a game that's like, it's colorful. It has farming. It has creatures. It has deck building. It's called Moonstone Island.
Okay. Okay. All right. Bet.
I think that should be a quite the change of pace.
Bet. Okay. Yeah, I see that. So I had contemplated, right? Because so far we've done the 2 book clubs, and they've both been like very narrative heavy games. And I was wondering, like, if we pick one that's not narrative heavy, like this is one that I have to start sooner than later. Like this isn't like, oh, we have to do the podcast a week, I better knock out Moonstone Island. And then you had hit me up, you're like, hey, can I see like your list of shame to kind of like piecemeal? So I don't know if you're like, I'll just pick one off of this. If you like had your list, like do any of these match up? You're like, oh, this will work out, or
it was on my list as well, but I have a pretty long list of games that I want to feature at the book club. But yeah, Moonstone Island is one that I tried, and didn't really get into yet.
Yeah.
But it has everything that I'm supposed to like in games, so I want to give it another shot. And September, it's been out for a year, so I think the 1-year anniversary is a good reason to play it.
Good call. Good call. Okay. Okay. We're gonna be tagging the dev in this one. That's exciting. That's exciting for me. I'm really looking forward to that one. It's in that case where I always talk about like Stardew didn't hit for me, and I think Potion Permit was more my speed. And I enjoyed what I played of the demo during, I think it was an X Fest. I can assume it was an X Fest. But I was really into it. The hour and a half I got to play, and when I got the game officially, I was like, I want to get back to this more. So I'm excited we're finally playing that one in September.
I just thought it was something like really different. As you said, we've played two very narrative-heavy games.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to focus on gameplay a bit.
Dude, let's do it. Let's fucking do it, baby. All right, you guys heard it. Next month for September, we are doing Moonstone Island. That episode will end up being, so last week of September will be... All right, this is where we got to get like nitpicky, right? So the last Tuesday of September is the 24th. Which...
Yeah, we have to do it the 24th.
Yeah. But then the last week of September would be like the 30th, and then we would record on like the 1st. So like if we're locking in the 24th, we could totally do that. This is supposed to be a hot season, but here we are. Anyway, end of September will be the we'll have a date. It'll be the new intro of like, don't forget, this month we're doing da-da-da-da-da, so you'll have it.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Yeah. I'm gonna skip the plug because we're already going like an hour and a half. So typically we would do what we've been playing. We both been playing Kentucky Route Zero. So yeah. But it's a good time to remind you that I did do my Crypt Custodian review, which is the other thing I've been playing. So if in the last couple episodes you're like, what's Danny been playing? I don't know. It was Crypt Custodian. It was cool. Go check out the review. It's on YouTube. But with that, we can jump into the indie games releasing this week. This is the releases from August 29th through September 4th. God, we're finally in September. This year's flying. First, we've got Bloodless coming on August 29th for PC. We have Gory Cuddly Carnage coming on August 29th for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. August 29th for PC, we've got Squirrel with a Gun. We have Akimbot on August 29th for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Excuse me. August 29th, we also have Vampire Survivors finally making its way to PlayStation. On August 30th for PC, we have Megaloot. On September 3rd, we have Parcel Core finally coming to PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Star Trucker coming on September 3rd for PC and PC Game Pass. And then to round out the week, we have Necro King coming on September 4th for PC. A lot of titles I'm not like familiar with on there. A lot of like newer ones. I don't know Bloodless, Akimbot, Megaloot, or Necro King. At least not by
Necro
name.
King is one that I am really excited about. It's a turn-based deck building type of thing.
Okay.
But it's not your typical Slay the Spire like. It's its own thing, and it looks. I really dig the art style.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah,
it's giving.
I played the demo of
Loop
this.
Hero?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I played a demo for this during the last Next Fest, I think.
Okay.
And wishlisted it immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bet.
The other games, most of the other games, I looked up before we started the episode.
Okay.
And I've already forgotten most of them.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
I know Gory. I don't know if that one's on my list. I know my buddy's checking that one out, so I told him, whenever you get around to it, if you want to come on the podcast, special guest for a short conversation about it, by all means. Squirrel with a Gun is one I'm very excited for. It's going to be a matter of what's on my plate when that one drops. Like, how many other things am I playing? How many other things am I reviewing? And, like, I would like to jump into it. Will I jump into it right away? TBD. And then Parcel Core looks fun, and then Star Truckers looks fun. That's, like, Euro Truck Simulator in space. And I'm like, hold on, this might be fun. Might be fun.
I'm checking that one out on Game Pass.
Hell yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Ah, man. And then typically this is where we ask the viewer question or what everybody's favorite indie game is. However, I don't have one. I have none, which means the podcast is over forever and ever. Yeah. No, I have too much fun doing this.
People don't have favorite indie games.
They don't. There's no more. Nobody has favorite indie games. But if you have a favorite indie game, like, wait, Danny, no, it's me. I can give you an extra week. I give an extra week for this assignment. Write in, tell us your favorite indie game is. We're like, you know what? It was a good one. We can rock with that. But with that that brings us to an end of this episode of Playlog Podcast. Thank you guys so freaking much for writing in. Not the no. I did. Well, listen, it might not have been for the shows, and I didn't see it. All right, cool. We'll use yours next week, okay? Spoilers. Hide that. Zenoza, hide it.
Oh my god.
Spoilers. Now we know what your favorite indie game is. Damn. Are you sure it's not Terraria? I think I have so many of like Terraria because it was my first one. Terraria because it was my first one in like 20 fucking forms. But yes, with that is the episode of Playlog Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for this book club. Let me know if I'm totally off base for Kentucky Route Zero or if you think I'm 100% right. Now, hey, whoa! I didn't ask you. But you can go comment if you want. You can comment that I'm wrong. You can get that engagement up, you know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Tofr, if these cretins actually like Kentucky Route Zero and maybe want to follow you on social media, where would they go?
They can find all of the links at linktree/PlayNiceKids in one word.
There you go. You should DM that to me because I forgot to put it in the description last week, so I have to put that in there, and I forgot to add it.
Okay. I will.
There you go. Put that.
But where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on all the social medias at CGDannyB. You got me on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, or X, whatever you call it. I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter. No one fucking cares. But yeah, you can find me over there. I'm always posting indie stuff. I'm trying to get better at Instagram. Instagram's like a phenomenon to me, but I'm posting reels out the ass this month, so we're doing what we can. But it's Twitter. That's what I'm saying, Rennick. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to join us next week. The episodes drop on Thursday at noon right over on youtube.com/CGDannyB. This next episode we have planned out, and then I think we're both really excited for the following week because we're doing a fun game that we're not going to spoil quite yet, but I want to see them play along. I think that would be a fun one. It'll be a good one. But thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.